Lately, I feel like these walls are closing in on me. Lately, I feel like I carry the weight of the world on me. Despite what you see, I'm not invincible. No, I'm not invincible. I'm not invincible. Nah. I'm not invincible.
I can do my best, but it ain't enough. No matter where I step, I'm still getting stuck. Lift me up, Lord, give me strength. Can you hear me out? Faithful to the test, please don't fail me now. I'm seeing how. That's the thing about fame. Careers built off perception. See, they throw dirt on my name, trying to soil my legacy. When I need to be saved, who will be there to fend for me? When nobody is left but me, how am I to behave? When there's no one to call, my life on the line, don't let it ring. Trying to right all my wrongs, but it's never done legibly. Who can make it out set for me? Take this pain without ketamine. No one's done it successfully. All these odds are against just ain't dealt the same hand you holding. I'm not the same man you know and love. Lost some friends when growing up, couple split like they going Dutch. Can't always be the strong friend when I'm silent and out of sight, but I don't have the bandwidth to be giving you sound advice. Like
lately, I feel like these walls are closing in on me. Lately, I feel like I carry the weight of the world on me. Despite what you see, I'm not invincible. No, I'm not invincible. I'm not invincible. Nah. I'm not invincible. I gotta be stronger, can't be weak. Gotta stand tall, can't fall off my feet. If I take that loss and I can't repeat, I might get beat, but I can't be beat. But see, right now I'm feeling beat down. They tell me don't be somebody that they can keep down. Okay, then bro, let's get it. I'ma keep it pushing even when I had enough. They tried to take my light, I think it's time I light it up. And this path that I'm walking is looking kinda rough. Lately when I look around, I don't know how to trust, yeah. See the pressure cause it's visible. Life is a battle, we end up with scars cause nobody living invincible. Surviving the battle, you level up out there, it's really making you formidable. Now you don't rhyme when it's critical. You're a product of standing on principle. And I've been through things that really should've broke my mind. Somehow I'm still here standing, never been the one to stand down. Even though lately I feel like these walls are closing in on me. Lately, I feel like I carry the weight of the world on me. Despite what you see, I'm not invincible. No, I'm not invincible. I'm not invincible. Nah. I'm not invincible.
Welcome to Man Cave Conversations. My name is Frederick Beatty, and I'm going to be your host for tonight. Man Cave Conversations is a show where we have our own little space called the Man Cave, where we talk about all things that concern us as men. Sometimes when we have these conversations, there's a little bit of a disagreement. Sometimes when we have these conversations, there's going to be a lot of agreement. But at the end of each of these conversations, there's going to be understanding. There's going to be knowledge. Something we're going to know a little bit more about ourselves and each other than we knew entering this conversation. This is part 5 of conversations with myself. This is a show to where I put my vulnerability out there front and center and talk about my experiences in the hope that any brother any brother can be changed, can be uplifted and changed by me putting myself out here. Again, I'm your host, Frederick Beatty. And before we even jump into this thing, man, I want to tell you guys that we are on a whole bunch of social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're also on we also have a Rumble page, a Rumble channel. So check us out over there. Um, so many ways you guys can get in contact, can connect with us. We're also on we're also on Spotify. We're also on Spotify and also all other audio streaming platforms as well. Um, the song that I played at the beginning of the show. The name of the song is called "Not Invincible." The artist is Dizzy Eight with another young gentleman by the name of Geno Five. That's this is the topic of the show tonight. But I did want to make sure I gave props to both of those amazing artists. Um, every time I look at this guy's videos, the visuals with these videos and the topics that he tackles on these videos is very touching, but it's also very inspiring. So big shout out to Dizzy Eight and Geno Five for this for the video, but also you know just giving these guys a lot of a big amount of props. So with that being said, y'all. With that being said, I apologize. With that being said, y'all, let's get into this thing, man. Let's get into this thing. Let's get into this thing. Let's get into this thing. So, why did I name this show Not Invincible? Well, there's a plethora of reasons as to why I named this show Not Invincible. But before we can even talk about what that means or talk about what that is and how it applies and relates to me, I want to give you guys a definition of the word invincible. Invincible is an adjective in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, and the definition of that means too powerful to be defeated or overcome. Words that are synonymous with this is invulnerable, indestructible, unconquerable, unbeatable, indomitable, unassailable, unyielding, unflinching, unbending, unshakable, dauntless, impregnable, secure, safe. These are all words that are synonymous with the word invincible. However, for us as men, especially us as black men, that is an all too far gone, far gone conclusion. And a lot of that stems from our upbringing as young boys. We saw our fathers, but we saw our fathers be these these insurmountable and invincible forces in our lives. We saw we noticed that nothing couldn't pierce their armor. Nothing couldn't affect them, or nothing could get by them. And may and by happenstance, their fathers, they saw our fathers saw their fathers act or perform in the same way. But one of the things that I think, and I'll get into this a lot. I'll get into this in a little bit. We saw our fathers be these larger than life invincible characters in our lives. That we saw trial after trial, tribulation after tribulation, challenge after challenge. Um, they walk through the fire, and they emerge from that fire a little a little burned, smelling like smoke, but they emerged through the fire. They emerged through the fire, and they went through all these challenges. A little bit, not too worse. A little bit, a little, not too, a little, not. Let me get my words together. Not too worse for wear, but still okay. We as young men, we didn't see the scar. We didn't see the wounds that our fathers took on. We didn't see the scars that our fathers have accumulated over the years because in most cases, I know for me personally, and this is something that this is a thing that I still um hold very dear for me because of my own father. My I As a kid, I thought my father was larger than life, and then as an adult, I still believe that my father is this larger than life character. When when I was younger, I thought this man was was unfallible. Couldn't nothing phased him. You know, that's the amount of amazement and that's the amount of amazement that I have for my father. That's the amount of um, reverence that I have and that I had and still and still hold for my father. That he was this indomitable and infallible character, and that nothing ever nothing ever never nothing ever never nothing ever bothered him, nothing ever touched him, nothing ever affected him either in a negative fashion. And that and even if something did touch him, it would bounce right off of him, or it would it wouldn't leave a mark or any it wouldn't leave any type of mark or anything of that nature. And that is the thought process that I had of my father for a very long time. And that was a thought process that I wanted to have for myself for a very long time, for as long as I can remember as a child, as a child, and even growing up as a young man. But as I got older, some realizations came into play. Some realizations and some truths began to manifest themselves and come into play and make themselves very clear in my life when it came to my father, but also in these things that I've thought that these manifestations of these things that I began to see with my father became more prevalent in my own life. I realized that my father was not this indomitable, invulnerable, and indestructible character that I imagined him to be. I found out that all these challenges and things that he had went through they left marks. They left wounds, they left scars, deep wounds. I found out that my father was not the was not the strong character that I envisioned. And me saying that is not me saying that part of it is not putting him down or anything of that nature. It's not putting him down. I promise y'all I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying nothing bad of my father. I'm just saying what I'm saying is a lot of the observations that I've had over the years by observing my father. I realize that he is a complete. I realize that realize that he's human just like we are, and he is fallible. He is subject to the things that we as human beings all go through. He he experiences the same emotions that we all experience. You know what I'm saying? We he that's that's the thing. What made that even more manifest to me is what made that even more clearer to me. And I use this example all the time of me seeing me watching me when we went to Tennessee to um, pay our last respects to my paternal grandmother, also known as his mom. There were instances to where, and I'm saying I'm only speaking from my perspective. I'm speaking from my perspective and what I felt, and not what he felt, but also from from observation as well. Um, there were times when we were there. I felt a nervous energy around. I felt a nervous energy with him, a very anxious energy with him. You know, the type of energy that someone does, and if anyone can relate, it's the type of energy that someone gets when they they know that they know that they're seeing their loved one for the last time. There's this this nervous and anxious energy, but it's also mixed with sadness. So I felt a lot of the nervous and the anxious energy with him, and putting my hands on his shoulders, just kind of hoping hoping that it would calm him, hoping that it would not calm him down, but kind of would remove some of that energy from him. As a son, as a son, I feel as a son, we're also to try to be there for our fathers are supposed to be there for our are there for us. So as sons, we should all always be there for our fathers, you know. And then in this time of need, he I knew that he needed me. I knew that he needed that. And I did my best to do. I know I did my best that I could to try to get him, try to hopefully get to try to remove some of that energy from him, some of that energy from him. But also in the same instance, fighting my own emotions of sadness and of sadness as well. But one of the things that made me really, really just kind of just look at things, this term invincible different, is again referencing I'm referencing the instance where we went to go see, say, give our respects to my paternal grandmother. My paternal grandmother is when I'm sitting a few seats away from him, and I saw my father bury his face in his hands. And it was at that moment I knew, I knew that my father wasn't this invincible character that I'd always dreamed of. I'd always imagined, always knew him to be. That he was human and that he was fallible, just like I am. Was I angry with that? Was I upset with that? No, not at all. I wasn't angry. I wasn't upset. Was I surprised? No, not at all. Was I embarrassed? No. Was I embarrassed? No, not at all. Did I feel did I feel any did I feel any different? Did I feel any different towards my father when I saw the man that the man that raised me, the man that I consider larger than life, that I consider even in my 51 years of age larger than life. Did I look at him any differently? No, I didn't. What it made me realize, and what it made me realize, and what it made me realize is that despite all the rough exterior, My father is human just like I am. That he feels just like the rest of us do. And that we're all subject to our moments. We're all subject to our moments of weakness. We're all subject to our moments of weakness. We're all subject to our moments of sadness. We're all subject to our moments of pain. We're all subject to our moments of grief. We're all subject to we're all subject as human beings. We're all subject to the full emotional spectrum. One of the things I think, and this is getting to my first point, one of the things I believe that society as a whole pushes as a whole pushes on men is that we're supposed to be these indomitable characters. We're supposed to be these invulnerable, indestructible characters. We're supposed to be the pillars of strength and and stability and things of that nature. And that is true. And that is very well true. But we can't be that. We can't be switched on like that all the time. We can't be switched on like that all the time. A lot of us as men, especially us as black men, that's something that's been we've been hardwired to think that way. Not only because not only because of the social political constructs that are against us, but also our own, but sometimes some of our communal some of our communal constructs as well. And I don't say that um I don't say that lightly. And the reason I say that I don't say that lightly is because this is what we as black men have been exposed to. This is what we have been conditioned to do, conditioned to think. We've been conditioned to think that we're supposed to be this hard individual all the time. We're supposed to be this hard individual all the time, and not be able to let anything in, any types of any emotional attachments. We've been conditioned for this. We've been conditioned to feel to be that way. Been conditioned to look at our lives in this manner. And it's trying to find the best words that I can say to this, to where it doesn't sound like I'm being offensive or even um offensive. We've been Again, as black men, we've been conditioned to think this way. Again, because of the social political constructs that have been and continue to be against us. But also some of our communal constructs as well. And we've been conditioned to be this way all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've been conditioned to be switched on in invincibility mode 24/7. And I find it crazy. And I find it crazy, but I don't find it surprising that this is what it is. This is where we are. This is what we've come to. This is kind of where we stand at the moment. And like I said, it doesn't surprise me. We've again, this shell of invincibility, um, comes from I'm and this is just and again, I'm gonna tell y'all off the top, but I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist. I am not any type of therapist or licensed clinical social worker. I'm not a mental health professional. I am a gentleman with a plethora of experiences that I hope can can touch us and help us not only individually as brothers, but also as a community of brothers. But like I said before, we've been taught this way. We've been taught this way. We've been taught that we're supposed to keep these and we're supposed to keep these things inside of us. We're supposed to keep these things hidden. It's not okay. It's not manly. It's not manly to have emotions. It's not it's not manly to cry. It's not manly be to be sensitive or to be a sensitive person or any of those things. And that's so much so not true. And it goes against the grain of a lot of things. Hey, my sis LHG at Critical Conversations is in the building. Y'all, man, y'all go follow Critical Conversations. Um, follow her YouTube channel, follow her on Facebook as well, man. She's been having some great conversations. Um, some great conversations. And if you missed the last three shows, man, you missed some great shows, man. So check those out on our YouTube channel. Hmm, that is a good question. Mr. Mason, good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you today? How are you this evening? Thank you for tuning in and most definitely appreciate you. This is a good question. A question that I want to ask to the larger community of us. And it speaks to what I'm talking about tonight. As men, as brothers, as black men, are we coming together to form a community of brothers who just want to just be in communion with each other, to just commune with ourselves and talk about our experiences in a safe space in a judgment free zone. Are we willing to come together and form that community, or do we want to be in our separate corners going through our thing, going through the same things we've been going through. Yeah, yeah, for real, sis. There, there, there are women's conferences that crop up. That there are women conferences that crop up all the time. There are women's groups. There are choirs that are predominantly women. There are book clubs that mostly cater to women, but the the opportunity for us to do the same things is right there and present. We can have men's conferences, we can have men's groups, we can have these men's men's choirs and books clubs and things of that nature. It all comes about to what we're willing to do as men, to do that, to want to be, and it can be communal with each other. And yes, this I remember that. I remember that she talked about that on your show, that she that Miss Ani did a retreat for gentlemen, for men, and you did implore brothers to go. This is and again, it speaks to my larger point about what being invincible is and what it does to us as men. Um, again, I wasn't taught vulnerability. I wasn't taught vulnerability, or I wasn't taught what it meant. I wasn't taught to how to fully navigate my emotions and my feelings until I graduated high school, went to the Navy, and then still had a hard time navigating my emotions. So I had a hard so I'm and at times I have difficulty navigating my emotions. I kn- I know for a fact that I know for a fact that I'm not invincible. I know for a fact that I'm not invincible. I know for a fact that I'm not invulnerable. I'm not indestructible. So I know these things for a I know these things for a for a hard fact. I've been through a lot I've been through some things as a man, especially a black man, and there are brothers who are watching this right now who can who can more than likely relate to what I'm saying, to the statement I just said. We've all been through something. We've all been through some things. Some of these things we've been a lot of us have been through have been more traumatic than others, and a lot of things some of the things that we've been through have exacted more of a have a negative exacted a negative cost. And we're told to bury that. We're told to throw that in the deepest recesses of who we are. And then when we do that, and we come around our sisters and our children and the people that know and care about us and love us, and we have this stone face, this stone mask, this stone face that doesn't change, and we just stand there flat-footed, just taking in everything. Some people have the nerve to call that strength. Some people have the nerve to call that strength. Some dudes, some guys decide, some dudes have the nerve to call that stoicism. Some dudes have the nerve to call that strength. Hell, some women have the nerve to call a dude burying trauma and pain, and then it transforms this guy into this either this robotic or stone faced individual. They have the nerve to call that strength. Call excuse my French. I call bullshit. I call I call check and mate on that. Yes, this gathering as men is something that's needed. It and I'm gonna tell y'all, brother, and this is coming from a sister. I'm telling y'all right now, this coming from a sister. My sis, my LA, she's been on have we've tag team on these things on more than one occasion. This is coming from someone who we've tag teamed on these things on several occasions, and it comes from a person a woman that truly understands that understands. And it also comes from, and again, and it also happens. You also have to have great people in your corner to be able to break that stigma. You know, I have a wonderful person in my corner. I have a wonderful woman in my corner. And I thank God for her. I thank God for her presence every day because it helps. It helps. Yes, sir. I agree wholeheartedly. We we embodied and later embraced what we decided to bury. If we buried anger and hurt and all that pain, Next thing you know, we're gonna embrace all that anger and that hurt and pain, and that's gonna manifest in our attitude towards our lives and our attitudes towards the things that we experience, right? Yeah, yep. The strongest of us are the ones who realize that we can admit that we have weaknesses, and that we do our best to seek help. What I don't like, and what I personally don't like, is that when we as men are told to bury that, or to put that all those things, and put them away in a different place in our hearts and in our souls. And then we're supposed to be with it. We're supposed to come around, be with this stone mask, or this stone face of just nothing. And folks got to and men and black women alike have the nerve to call that strength. It's not strength. They have the nerve to call they are they have the nerve to call that strength. They have the nerve to call that character. They have the nerve to call that, you know, they have the nerve to call it a lot of things, but what it actually is not. None of that stuff, man. None of that stuff makes you as a man. None of that stuff makes you invincible as a man. Matter of fact, it makes you more vulnerable, makes you more susceptible. Got a comment right here. Coming from a recently divorced sister that wept many nights praying for a wounded husband that who did not feel free enough to address trauma. Mm, yeah, yeah. And when men bury trauma, is resurrected in their marriages. Well, not not only is it resurrected in their marriages, LSG, it's also resurrected in their and it also is resurrected in how they rear or raise their children. It's also resurrected in their interpersonal relationships with other people outside of the marriage, and outside of their family. So it it's not only resurrected in marriage, it's also resurrected in their interpersonal relationships with people. Marriage and parenthood are only but two interpersonal relationships that are I feel that are important. And the other interpersonal relationships are the ones that we have with our friends and our other family members, as well as the people that we work with, the people that we work with. The people that we consider friends. So it's also resurrected in those relationships as well. But I think marriage and parenthood are the ones that are the most affected. That are the most affected. All I wanted to do for my ex-spouse was to be there for him and open up to the healing process, tears from and all. I was there and prayed fervently for his deliverance. Well, some people are not always receptive to those types of things. I and when you bury trauma, and you have this stone mask and this stone face, and you feel that you're invincible, you're not going to be receptive to that. Those those things will bounce off you, and you don't because you want it, because in some cases some men want to be invincible and feel that they can't be touched or they can't be harmed, when in actuality you're actually harming yourself. Ooh. Mr. Mason, you are literally on to something. You are literally on to something. To bury those things, you need a shovel. Folks are looking for you to buy it. that's a very powerful and poignant statement and point, because when we set out to bury this trauma and all this pain and hurt and anxiety and all the other things that we go through, is you're gonna require it's gonna require a shovel. Yes, it is. And you're gonna have to buy the shovel. But then again, if it's something that if it's things that someone else visited upon you, if you went through, if you went through abuse as a child, or something else that was just as equally traumatic, yeah, now it's income they now they because they visited that horror upon you, and now you're left to deal with the fallout and the aftermath and everything else, and now you have to buy you now you have to you have to purchase your own shovel to bury your own stuff. And in all actuality, that's not fair to you. That's not fair to the person that the thing that it was visited that trauma was visited upon. But who's to say? Who's to say? Who's to say? In most cases, when we all go through something, and we've all had to we've all had to bury something in our lives, some aspect of ourselves, something that we went through either as a child or as an adult. and and for some strange reason, and I won't say for some strange, it's ours. Is we make it our responsibility to bury it, especially some things things that were visited upon us that we didn't ask for. Hmm. Oh yes, invincibility goes for women too. It does. It really does. And when you're not free of the chains of no, you're good, sis. No worries. When we're not free of the chains of trauma or our experiences, we tend to bleed all over each other. We tend to bleed profusely all over each other, and we tend to bleed profusely all over each other, and nobody knows, and neither one of us knows first aid. Neither one of us knows how to make a tourniquet. Neither one of us knows how to properly dress the wound. And when we're talking about emotional and spiritual and psychological wounds and physical wounds, physical wounds will always physical wounds, no matter what, will always heal. Depending on how your body reacts to a certain type of injury, their healing of a wound takes time. And contrary to popular belief, it has to hurt if it's gonna heal. I'm gonna say that again. It has to hurt if it's going to heal. But neither when and again, when neither person is free of all those things, let me tell you, both of y'all gonna bleed profusely on each other, and because neither one of y'all know first aid, both of y'all gonna bleed out. Somebody in a relationship got to know first aid. Somebody in a relationship gotta know first aid. Somebody in a relationship has to know how to apply pressure to a wound. Somebody has to know how to apply a tourniquet to stop the hemorrhaging. Somebody has to do it. And when and how society is, and we're asking men, we're asking brothers, black men, many of any men of any race, but I'm talking to black men specifically. So this doesn't just go for just my brothers. It also goes for men of all races. But I'm speaking specifically to my black brothers. When we bury all this trauma and all this hurt and all this pain, and we get this stone face and all this stuff, we we hurt, and we go through all this hurt and stuff like that, and then we hurt other people with that supposed invincibility. We end up bleeding all over each other, man. We bleed all over each other, and again, because we have adapted this invincibility thing and this stone face, and we weren't taught proper first aid. We weren't taught how to stem the bleeding or to stop the hemorrhaging. We weren't taught how to properly apply, and I'm speaking from I'm using medical terminology, or medical techniques to speak to an emotional issue. So using medical terminology as an analogy to help to speak to an emotional issue. When we've gone through all these emotional injury and psychological injuries, we need to be able to we need to be able to know how to apply an emotional tourniquet to that injury. We need to be able to know how to apply an emotional bandage to that injury. We need to know how to treat that emotional injury in its entirety. You can't do one of the things I'm beginning to understand, I'm even learning more so now, is that we as a black community, men and women, we just tend to slap a bandage on everything. We'll slap a bandage and we'll slap a bandage on emotional trauma. We'll slap a bandage on emotional trauma. We'll slap a bandage on psychological trauma. We'll slap a bandage on someone that's been abused um in any way, shape, or form. We'll slap a bandage on it, thinking that bandage is going to provide coverage for that wound. You can't just slap a bandage on every damn thing, thinking that's going to be the end all. That's going to be the end all be all. Thinking that's going to be the overall cure for everything. No, that emotional, just like a physical wound, that emotional wound needs to be debrided and cleaned, and it needs to be properly attended to. It needs to be properly dressed, and then if it needs stitches, then of course someone's got to do that. Someone else besides ourselves has to do that. Of course, now I'm speaking now. Of course, we can take care of ourselves. Of course, we're supposed to be able to take care of ourselves. We're supposed to be able to do our own self evaluation. We're supposed to be able to do our own self assessment of our physical as well as our emotional well being. Some of us don't do that right. Some of us just don't do that right at all. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm speaking to myself as well, because I haven't been good. I haven't been great at that. My own emotional and I've been kind of okay with my physical assessment of myself. Because what a lot of us as human beings, we know when we know our body inside. We should be able to know our body. We should also know when we're in pain or when we're in discomfort. But I want to ask my brothers this. Do you know how to give yourself an emotional assessment? An emotional and mental assessment. Do you know how to do that? And I'm not saying that I'm an expert in it or anything of that nature, because I'm not, because I'm still learning the intricacies of this. We have to be able to give ourselves our own a proper and correct emotional and mental assessment of ourselves. If we're feeling bad and we're feeling bad and we're feeling sad, just say that. Just say that you're feeling bad and you're sad. That you have things on your mind and you and it and something's bothering you. Oh my God. Mm. Give me a second, Nicole. See, I'm gonna pull your comment up, and we are going to we're gonna talk about that right there. We are going to talk about that. You know, yes, sis. Marriage does not cure trauma wounds. It actually makes those wounds worse in some cases if those those wounds are not properly attended to, if they're not properly cleaned and all that stuff. You know, yes, the changes do start in how our sons are raised. Single moms think these sons are their husbands, and that's what and most sons turn into the son husband. Yes, it's like we were talking about earlier. So true, but some of us aren't qualified to be our own emotional physicians, emotional caretakers, because sometimes we don't even know the symptoms of what we are going through. We just go through it, and then we just think that we can, again, like I said earlier, some of us think that we can just slap a band-aid on everything, and slapping a band-aid on everything makes everything okay. It does not. It doesn't. You can't slap a band-aid on trauma. You can't slap a band-aid on abuse. You can't slap a band-aid on anxiety, PTSD. You can't slap a band-aid on mental health. You can't slap band-aids on stuff like that. You can't slap a band-aid on emotional trauma. You can't slap a band-aid on grief. And damn it, I'm tired of hearing the phrase by now or by this time. Look, I'm gonna tip for those people that employ that particular phrase. I need y'all to stop, because with certain things there's no by now or by this time frame. By the There's no such phrase as by now or by this time. Certain things don't have a time frame attached to them. Grief is one of them. Healing from emotional and physical trauma is another. How dare you say that by this time this person should be over the loss of a child, or loss of a mother or father or a close friend or a close family member? How dare you use that? How dare you use that terminology? How dare you use the terminology by now? You should have been healed over a divorce, or over the law or over PTSD or anxiety, or any other mental health condition. That's something that most of us have. How dare you? That is disingenuous. That is insensitive, and that is disrespectful. Yes, I said it. For those people, this goes and I'm probably gonna get censored for this or censured for this, but I'm gonna say that this goes to religious organizations that use that terminology or that tactic. I'm speaking directly to you. To use that particular tactic is insensitive, is disingenuous, and it is disrespectful. For those people that are like that, we can most definitely talk about it in the comments. But I said what I said, what I said. It's time for us as it's time for us as so I'm gonna say another thing that's probably gonna get me kicked, that's probably gonna get me kicked, gonna get me kicked out the church tonight. And I don't mind being kicked out the church. I've been kicked out the church a couple times. It's time for us as Christians to stop using those phrases. It's time for us as Christians to really, 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 really take into account of what a lot of people go through. You can't say that you ain't praying hard, you're not praying enough. Tell somebody to pray away. You can't tell somebody to pray away depression, or they're not praying hard enough to pray it away, or they not praying hard enough to get rid of PTSD, or telling the guy that he has to stand up and be strong and be invincible and be indomitable and all this other stuff. You can't do that, man. You bring about more harm than good. You bring about more harm than good. You bring about more harm than good. It's much more harmful to that person than it is a benefit. So yeah, bro, I really want to dive into this one, man. This is what my brother Nikosi Mason just said. As Black men, we are usually offered the great value or the free lunch manual designed to achieve a minimalistic life. We are more than what society reduces us to. Bro, that this is so what you just said right here is so very powerful in the execution of the words, in the execution and in the words that you chose to use. And in most cases, no, I won't even say in most cases. In a lot of cases, this is very, very true. We're offered the free lunch manual. We're offered a great value manual. And being offered that manual is automatically designed to lead us down the primrose path to a minimalistic life. And we're reduced because we take this manual, or because we take that free lunch, we feel like we're indebted to the person that did it. We're indebted to society because this is what society gave us, and we also feel like this is what we amount to. This is what our value is. We have no value. We have no value to the women, to our women, to our kids, to other men. None of that. And then most of the times we're always there. We're always put as a measuring stick with other quote unquote high value men, and that's not true either. Look, I can stand shoulder to shoulder. I can stand shoulder to shoulder with a dude that makes twice as much as me. I can confidently say I can stand shoulder to shoulder with a quote unquote high value man. The reason I can say that is because number one, at the end of the day, we both put our pants on the same way. One leg, another leg. Number two, we're human beings. Number three, we're men. So I can stand shoulder to shoulder with him because number one, I don't have a spirit. I don't have a malicious spirit or anything of that nature. And I'm not in a spirit of competition with any other dude. I'm not competing with Nicole. I'm not competing with I'm not competing with my brothers. I'm not in competition with them. Healthy competition is good. Destructive competition is bad because that destroys morale and everything else that destroys morale and everything else. So yeah, I am in wholehearted agreement with you on this one, bro. I am. And yes, sis, the religious spirit has been a problem for decades, but that's why we have to know God for ourselves. Yes, indeed. It is imperative that we know God for ourselves. We have to, because if we know God for ourselves, we can listen to God instead of the other people in the congregation. If we listen to God, we can. If we listen to God, we can. We will always seek wise counsel, not not this had not this half-hearted, haphazard type stuff. That not this half-hearted and haphazard type stuff that a lot of us embrace. I don't know about you, but I don't know about anybody else. But like I said, I mean, and my sis just said this real. We we all need these two things, Jesus and therapy, and both of those need to be both of those need to be the biggest size possible. Because acting invincible as a man, especially when there's a lot of unrequited um, emotions and trauma there. Being invincible as a man can have detrimental effects. All these effects are negative. So let's just put that out there right now. Being invincible as a man can, and these are possible effects, not something these are possible effects because the effects are different for every person. Your and most of us as men, our experiences vary. But in general, and I'm speaking in general, not I'm speaking in general, not any and not pointing out anybody in general. In general, having having that invincible type thing or want to wear that armor, it makes you more susceptible to more damage because any type of armor can be penetrated. I'll use this example. I'll use an example. I'll use two examples actually. Body armor. So basically basically the play the body armor that military personnel and operators wear, policemen wear, um, some private and most security forces wear things of that nature. Body armor. So usually when we talk about body armor, we usually just we have there's this big old this thing there's a cloth thing, but it also there's also a plate inside. There's also a plate inside the armor. And most and with if you're talking about full body armor, then you have full armor that is going to cover mostly the upper part of your body. There's some chest pieces that provide a protective layer around the sensitive areas like like your ribs and things of that nature. But in general, most of the time that armor is going to protect the front and your back. and then most operators will wear a ballistic helmet that's gonna protect your head. Now, wearing armor does not make you invincible. It only means you can take up it only means you can soak up so much damage to that armor's tolerance. A simple thing, but this also could be it also be complicated as well. But what do I mean by that? I use the example of body armor. I use the example of ballistic armor. Most ballistic armor has been tested to allow a person to survive several calibers of weapons. Large caliber weapons, and I'm gonna use I'm gonna use a large caliber weapon and also I'm gonna use this as an analogy for trauma and things of that nature. I'm gonna use that as an analogy here. So you you have on this armor that makes you invincible, right? And you're pretty the armor is pretty much can take can take small caliber fire or take small little things that get thrown at you in life. You're able to so all those things are able to either it'll it'll pierce, but it'll pierce the armor, but it won't go all the way to touch your skin or touch your cloth. Some of it will just stop right. Well, some of it will stop right there and just bounce right off and not even enter. The larger the experience of the trauma, the more the the greater the possibility of that thing piercing the armor, also piercing past the armor and piercing to the skin or through the cloth and through the skin. With body armor, larger caliber weapons can pierce body armor, can pierce body armor all the way through, meaning it'll pierce the claw, it'll pierce the plate, it'll pierce your skin, and it can actually exit. That's what I mean by tolerances. We all have emotional tolerances. Burying those things as men and building up this wall or building up this armor around yourself only makes you more susceptible to the tolerances, only makes you more susceptible to taking damage, and also makes you more susceptible to the tolerances of of the armor that you're donning. Wearing armor doesn't make you invulnerable. Wearing armor doesn't make you invincible or indestructible. It only protects you for a while against certain tolerances. And the other thing I'll say about body armor, if if it's hitting the same place several different times, that spot's going to give away, and eventually that whole armor is useless. Also, another thing, the other weakness of armor, there are several if you're wearing like several plates of armor, um I'll use I'll use a video game reference. Batman. Um there's a Batman wore a suit of armor in one of the video games. That suit of armor isn't impenetrable all throughout that suit of armor. There are places on that armor to where there are weak spots on it. Say for instance, joints. like joints, or where the joints are the places where the armor connects. Those are the weakest spots. So, like I said before, armor doesn't make it armor. Donning armor doesn't make you invincible as a man, especially when you bury all that stuff and then you put on this armor, this stone face, and make you invincible. It only makes you more susceptible to those tolerances. It only makes you, it only exposes you to those tolerances. And armor can be hit in the same. Armor can be repeatedly hit in the same space, same spot, and it's only a matter of time for that armor gives way, and it doesn't provide any protection at all. In closing, I want to offer this. What can we as men do to not be invincible? Number one, open yourself up to these things that we call emotions. It's okay for us to have emotions. It's something that every human being has. I have them. You have them. Our sisters have them. Our kids have them. We all have them. Embrace and acknowledge those emotions. They're there for a reason. Sadness is an emotion. Embrace that. It's okay. It's okay to cry. The other thing in that, and I forgot to mention, being invincible puts being invincible makes it hard. And I forgot to say this before. I forgot to say this. Being invincible makes it hard for the people that we love or that love and care about us. It makes it hard for them to get through. It makes it hard for them to communicate with us. It makes it hard for them to help us. Because let's not get it twisted. There are people in our lives right now, and I know I'm speaking to a couple of men, couple of guys on this, and I know I'm speaking to a couple of guys on this thing. There are people in our lives right now that are ready, willing, and able to help us, but we will not let them in because we will not let them in. Take a risk, take a chance, let those people that want to help in. Let them in because they're gonna help you get to a pinnacle that you probably never thought you could get to, but also gonna help you navigate. They're gonna also gonna help you navigate those emotions that you've been feeling. It's it's only a natural thing. It's a natural thing we should allow it. We should allow those that care about us to help us. You know. In closing, oh my, bruh, let me tell you. Yes, sometimes we are focused on wearing physical armor, but it is our mental that requires it more. And yes, we focus so much on the physical protection that we totally forget about our own emotional and mental protection. Not knowing that that part of it needs to be armored up as well. That needs to be armored up as well. But even but also to the also speaking to your point, brother Mason, mental and physical armor are subjected to not the same tolerances, but they're subjected to tolerances. So again, it's only a matter of time before the physical tolerances of that physical armor fails, and it's also a matter of time for the mental tolerances of that mental armor fails as well. So they're both subjected to both physical and mental tolerances, respectively. As a as a black man living in this world, I am acutely aware of I'm acutely aware of who I am. And that journey for me is something that is very that is a continuous journey of learning and self-discovery. So I am acutely aware of who I am. One of the things I'm learning is where I fit in the greater world around me. The other thing that I'm learning is that other thing I'm learning the is the people that I keep in my orbit, my little pocket, in my little small pocket universe. I'm being very much aware of who I keep in my or who I keep or I allow to maintain orbit with me. The thing I'm beginning to learn that the things that affect my little small part of the universe could possibly affect the greater affect the greater world around me. I'm also learning that being invincible is more detrimental than it is helpful. It offers being invincible offers benefits, but there are limits to those benefits. There are hard limits to those benefits. And once you read that hard limit, the effectiveness of the invincibility wears off. And it can either wear off quickly or it can wear off slowly. But brothers, we don't have to live our lives in invincibility. One of the things that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to a lot of us carry a lot of emotional and mental baggage that's been riding on our planes for entirely too damn long. Eventually you're going to have to address that baggage, and eventually you're going to have to address that baggage that's in baggage claim, and you're going to have to decide if you want to if that baggage is going to be discarded or you're going to keep it. In most cases it's stuff that we don't even need. So it actually can be jettisoned off the plane. So it can be jettisoned off the plane. Go ahead and toss it. Go ahead and get rid of it. It's weighing you down. Go ahead and get rid of it. It's preventing you from getting to a specific place in your life. Go ahead and get rid of it. It's preventing you from getting the healing and the help that you've been crying, that you've been asking for, that you've been praying for, that you've been privately crying for. I had to learn this. Still still learning it. Still learning it. Still understanding what it means to truly just toss out that stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. There's don't get me wrong, brothers. There's nothing wrong with having having defense, having defenses. There's nothing wrong with having defenses. But when your defenses are the result of emotional and emotional, mental, and or physical trauma, the things that we all go through. So now we don't almost say we all go through some things that we have individually went through. Some brothers may say that it's easy to live like that, but I guarantee you, it is not. I guarantee you it's difficult. I guarantee you that it's difficult. Some dudes can say that they're better off without emotions. They're better off without trying to do all these things and all this other stuff. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a lie. It's a lie. We're not brothers. We're not invincible. So why act? So why act the part? So why act as if we are? Why bury all that stuff and put on that stone mask or that stone or the stone armor and say that nothing can penetrate me, when in actuality your defenses and your armor can be broken. It just requires it being hit. It requires it being hit in the right spot, or subjected to the right tolerances. But I digress. The purpose of these conversations with myself, the purpose of man cave conversations, period, is to just for us to sit down and have us for just to come together and have conversations. Whether it's just me, whether it's me up here in front of this camera and this microphone, or whether I can get a collection of brothers up here to talk about whatever we want to talk about. That's the purpose. The purpose is not to my purpose with this is never to degrade or make fun of another guy, another man, especially another black man that's going through something, and they feel they don't have safe heart, they don't have safe harbor anywhere. This space right here, this space right here, my Facebook group, Man Cave Conversations, is a safe space. It is safe harbor for you to moor your boat to. It's safe harbor for you to drop anchor at. If your boat needs repair, there we got there. You can if your boat needs repair, you can fix your boat there. Hell, we might even I may even help you. If you just need refuge, my Facebook group is a refuge. Is a refuge for that. I don't take this comment. I don't take being up here in front of this microphone, or in front of the camera lightly. I do not take it lightly because of the simple fact of I am a person who is going through my own emotional and spiritual journey, my own emotional, physical, and spiritual journey. I don't take that journey lightly, and I look at it with great respect and great awe, with great respect, because somewhere out there, there's a man or another, there's a man or men who are going through a similar situation such as I am, or who know other men who've experienced the things that they've experienced. We owe it to ourselves as black men to encourage and to uplift each other. We owe it to ourselves as brothers to encourage and uplift each other. We owe it to We owe it to our sons and our daughters for them to see the true example the true example of what a the true example of what a man is. There are several definitions, there are several interpretations out there. Several interpretations out there. It's up to us. It's up to us to break. It's up to us as men. It's up to us as men to break that cycle because there is a cycle that is that's going on. It's up to it's not just up to me. It's up to other men. It's up to other like-minded men who feel the same way as I do, who think the same way as I do, who want to see change in how we embrace our emotions, or um how we embrace fatherhood, how we embrace relationships. It's that we have to be the change agents for that. I've said this on more than one occasion, and I'll say it again. And this can be met with either agreement or disagreement, and it's fine. You know, we always talk about changing in there. We always talk about changing narratives, and that's all well and good, right? But changing narratives requires a couple of things. Number one, time, because it does take time to change a narrative. And number two, you have to the people that we have to convince people that have believed in that, that have believed in said narrative, that it's time for that narrative to change. So there's two things against that. Then those I speak on the two things that are against that. Number one, time. Number two, changing the hearts and minds of people who have believed that narrative. So instead of just changing a narrative, which requires a tremendous amount of time, and I'm not saying this to present a shortcut or anything like that, but I'm saying this to say that maybe it's time that we do away with the old narratives about us as men, about us as black men, and maybe it's time for us as men to write a different narrative, one that speaks of positivity, one that speaks to um happy, one that speaks to um positive role models for our sons and daughters, um positive role models for relationships, and how we maneuver in relationships, and also how we maneuver through our own emotional and mental well-being. So instead of waiting for a narrative to change, because let's face it, let's face it, that narrative has been out there for so long that it's believable. It's been believable. And it's been the believable norm for quite some time. So how about we just rewrite it? How about we just rewrite it? How about we just write a different narrative? One that employs positivity, one that employs um the one that employs the beauty of manhood, the beauty of healthy manhood, and what that looks like, and what that should look like, what that sounds like, what that feels like, what that tastes like. I don't know. It sounds very, very good. And I would love to be the person that helps kind of spearhead that. Before I go tonight, I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody who came in on the chat, everybody who tuned in tonight. I am so very um thankful for that. I really do thank you guys for tuning in tonight. This has been a wonderful conversation. This has been a wonderful night for me to even it's for me to even talk about something like this. Um, this had been something. This had been on my mind for quite some time, and I want to talk about it. Um, so I thank you guys in advance for that. Um, so with that being said, man, just continue to follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Follow us over there on YouTube, man. We do me a big solid, man. Go over to our YouTube channel, Trailblazers with a Z Radio. Take a look at our content. Go to our channel, take a look at our content. If anything, if any part of our content resonates with you, if it pulls and tugs on your heartstrings, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Also hit that bell notification and let us know. And hit that bell notification, and that lets you know when we come back on. Um, if you missed any of the shows this week, they are available, right? Are available on YouTube. Excuse me. They're also available on our Facebook channel. They're also available on they all our shows are also available on Spotify as well as other audio streaming platforms. So if you missed the show, or if you missed any of our shows, or if you missed a particular show, whether you missed Critical Conversations with LSG, Girl Chat Weekly with LSG, Power Hour with LSG, Sofa Chats with TNK with my brother and sister, Tony Wade and Kykes Rodriguez, or if you miss T Ways to the Point with my brother T Wade, or if you miss Man Cave Conversations, or the Author's Alley, or the Check-In. If you missed any of those, they're right there. Go check them out. Take a look. Take a watch. Take a listen. Um, and just make sure that you follow us and stay tapped in. Um, we most definitely appreciate you guys so very much for being here tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure and an absolute honor to present this to you guys tonight. Um, I am thinking about doing a show um, based on an analyzation of um, a video game scene. Um, the one that I want to do, um, is a scene from a video game called God of War Ragnarok. Um, I played this game um, twice, and there are so many emotional moments in that game. So many emotional moments in that game. But there's one pivotal scene that I want to talk about in depth. That I want to talk about not in, but I want to talk about. Um, maybe in depth, maybe not in depth. But I think I believe that it speaks to us as men, but it also speaks to us as fathers. So it's official. My next Man Cave conversations with myself, part 6 will be anatomy of a video game scene, God of War Ragnarok. And I promise you guys, I'm this is I won't be overly analytical with it, but there's some points in it that I want to pull out. And I think it's going to be very important for us as men to think about that. I know there's other mediums of media that bring about emotional impacts. For me, there are a lot of um, mediums of entertainment that bring about emotional impacts: movies, songs, um, other things like that. But I think for me, and this is just my personal opinion, I think for me, um, there are genres of media out there that bring it out even more. Um, I think video games even evoke a lot of emotional responses. And I also think anime does the same. The anime does the same thing because both of these mediums tackle certain subjects that we go through in a variety of ways, and they tackle it in very interesting ways as well. So I hearken to the fact of anime and video games bringing about a lot of emotional responses. And I think we all could kind of understand, I think we all could learn a lesson from watching a video game scene, or just kind of just looking at it and analyzing it ourselves, like I did when I watched the scene from God of War Ragnarok. So that's gonna be my next, man. That's gonna be my next man cave conversations with myself. We're gonna talk about that scene, and then we're gonna talk about the relevance of it. So with that being said, and I do believe I'm talking a lot now. So look, I'm gonna get up out of here, man. You guys be good. You guys be good. You guys stay safe, and you guys love on each other. And I love you guys to life, and I love you guys to live life one day at a time, but also live life one day at a time, but also live it to the fullest. I love you guys, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.
Look at me now, I made it through. I overcame what they hated. I'ma give myself congratulations, because I made it. I'm on a whole new dimension. These miracles on top of blessings. Tell your followers to mention. Therapy, let me breathe. I'ma count 1, 2, 3. I'm not gonna lose all sleep. I'm on a whole new vibration, not losing my patience, because I got my peace. Can't nobody take from me. Therapy. Another switched up on you, the pain you thought you'd never get through. People change, seasons change, new levels raining all on you. It gets better from here. It gets better from here. Favor looking good on me. No pressure, it's time to seek. Therapy. Oh, it's okay to have therapy.